Hello, everyone, and welcome to our third annual pitch competition for WCS Talks. This is a very exciting day. We're really excited that you're here with us. Thank you for joining us. You could be doing anything right now, and you chose to come hang out with us and learn from these startups and meet each other too. There's going to be some networking coming up later on in the day. So we will get started. My name is Lisa Ann Pinkerton. I'm the founder of Women in Cleantech and Sustainability, as well as the chairwoman. And I founded WCS 10 years ago this past Monday. So we are officially 10 years old. Very exciting. And so let's go through the slides here. Next slide, please. While we get there, we have a little bit of Zoom etiquette for you here. Obviously, we would like to ask you to mute and unmute yourself appropriately. Share your screen if you can. We love to see your faces. It makes the virtual experience just a little bit more like an in-person meeting. So please share your screen if you can. We understand if you don't. If you would like to, please add your full name in the Zoom notations here so that we can see your name. This helps people connect with you on LinkedIn and makes it, it's like a little name tag that you would wear at an in-person event. Also, please feel free to share your LinkedIn profile in the chat. We're very big on networking, building a community, bringing people together, and this is the way we can do it in a virtual world. Share your LinkedIn profile, and then people will connect with you, and then you can network with them later on. And obviously, we want everybody to be respectful and assume the best intentions and be an active listener when we go into the networking portion of our event today. Next slide, please. Obviously, we couldn't do this without our amazing sponsors, and so we'd like to take a moment to thank all of them. I won't go through naming everybody because we only have a short time for these announcements. I know we want to get to the pitch competition, but you can see them all there. Some of these companies have been longtime supporters of Women in Cleantech and Sustainability, helped us to get to 10 years, and we're very thankful for their participation and collaboration with our organization. Next slide, please. Like I said, we're 10 years old. We're going on 450 paid members. Our total community is about 4,500 people across the world. We embraced COVID and the virtual world this year and expanded internationally. We can proudly say we're in 7 countries now with our membership and 23 states. So happy to talk more about WCS with anybody who's interested. Connect with me on LinkedIn, or any of our board members can share more information about the organization. Next slide. Virtual membership is the way we've grown so quickly this year. I encourage you to take a picture of this QR code and explore what virtual membership could mean for you. There's both individual membership as well as corporate membership. So companies will become members of our organization and spread the benefits of membership to all of their employees. And so we're happy to talk to you about that if you're interested. Next slide. And here are some of the events that we have coming up. February 18th, we've collaborated with Women of EVs for virtual happy hour. And we're also going to talk about how more women could be on corporate boards coming up in February. And we also have part 3 of WCS Talks coming up in March. There's also plenty of volunteer opportunities here at WCS. You could be a day of volunteer, like an event like this. You could be a committee level volunteer or an event organizer if you have an idea. Next slide. And if you would like to attend another WCS Talks event and get 25% off that cost, I encourage you to take this community survey. Because you've attended our event today, you are officially a part of our community. Welcome, and would love your insights on who you are and what your world is like out there. And we can pull all that information together for our own research to know who we're serving and how to serve you better. And now I believe it is my honor to introduce one of our board members who heads up our LA chapter, and she's also been a part of the subcommittee for this pitch competition, Camille Terry, who is the founder and CEO of Charger Health as well, and making big waves there in the electric vehicle space. Camille, I'd like to hand it over to you.
Thanks so much, Lisanne. And I just want to take a moment to thank all of you and thank the judges, and most importantly, our female founders. As a fellow female founder, I know that it is a great lift to build a company within this industry, but we are honored to support you and have you here because the work that you're doing is so important. This year, the WCS team had the great opportunity to include some high school students. When we think about making an equitable green economy, we think about the future, we have to start including more and more people. And so it's with great pleasure that I introduce two of our high school students, which I'll get them to just say their name and where they're at and where they're located. So first off, I would like to introduce Samik, if you could just unmute and just say a short introduction.
Hi, my name's Samik Singh. I'm a junior at Fremont High School and the co-founder of my school's science bowl team. And part of my school's robotics mechanical team. And I'm a student looking for advice on integrating my background in mechanical engineering and computer science to that of sustainable energy and water and waste management.
Thank you so much. And Stephanie Snyder.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Snyder. I'm a junior at NSU University School in South Florida. I'm the event coordinator for a local chapter of Earth Uprising, as well as the head of the marketing team for their national team, and a region coordinator for South America for the Green Schools campaign. And I'm just really here to combine my love for sustainability and really learn about how that applies to business and the combination of it with the sciences.
Thank you so much. And I ask all of you, if there's ways that you can help them or get them plugged in, they'll put their email addresses, please reach out to them. All right, so quickly I'll go over the rules of the game today, and then I'll pass it over to Julia. So our founders will have the opportunity to pitch for 5 minutes. Once they finish pitching for 5 minutes, our judges will go ahead and ask them questions for 3 minutes. And then alternating, our high school students will also be able to ask them questions. We will be judging each of the founders on about 6 different criteria in a numerical way from 1 through 5. During the breakout sessions, the judges will be deliberating. And at the end, we'll be able to see who is the 3rd annual WCS founder. And so with that, I would like to pass this over to Julia. And thank you again for y'all being here. And I am super pumped and really excited to hear what these ladies have to say.
Thanks, Camille. That's awesome. After a day like yesterday, we can say we planned this perfectly today, but we didn't, but we were lucky. And it's just such an excitement, not only for our sector and our being women in this sector. This is just great to also have the high schoolers here. So I'm triple psyched. I'm Julia Murphy, board member and co-chair of pitch competition and of career development. My day job is VP of origination at Brightmark, where we reimagine waste. And I also advise elemental accelerator companies in project finance. So we have, and I'm so honored to be the one to be able to introduce the 4 judges. And I'm actually gonna have them say hello so you can, when I first say their name, and we're gonna do a short intro because we have a very tight day. And they're also on the screen there. Yes, okay, that'll work perfect. So they have very accomplished investors across the sector. And I'll start with Nneka Uzoh, who is Director of Innovation at Elemental Accelerator, and she leads the energy vertical. She was previously worked at PG&E and Xterra, and I've had the honor to work with Nneka the last year. Amy Francetic is founder and managing general partner at Buoyant Ventures, a new venture fund in Chicago focused on energy, transport, agriculture, and in the environment. She previously founded Energize Venture, a $165 million venture fund. Next is Amy Duffuor. She is principal at Prime Impact Fund, and she is responsible for identifying and evaluating investments, leading investments, and sitting on the boards of some of those companies. She was previously a power banker at Bank of America. And then we have Barbara Dalton Russell, who is co-founder of CapW, which is an advisory investment bank focused on tech-enabled companies with strong female founders. She serves on several boards in early and mid-stage companies. Previously, she was managing director of investment banking at Buoyant Venture and also co-founder of Social Impact Fund. I want to thank all you wonderful ladies and your being here today. It's such a treat. And now I want to turn it over to my awesome co-chair, Melanie Lucas Conwall, to walk us through the day and get us started. Thanks, Melanie.
Thank you, Julia. I'm very much looking forward to today. So we have 6 fantastic startups lined up for all of you. Well, perfect. There we go. 6 names and faces that you will see on your screen very soon, telling you all their brilliant ideas. As the audience, you will get an opportunity to vote for them at the end of the presentation. So remember their pitches and which one you like best. Our first startup is Alchemr, with the CEO, Laureen Meroueh, who will be presenting to us. Laureen, over to you.
Thank you, Melanie. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Laureen, as Melanie introduced me, and I am so excited to be here today and to share with you how Alchemr is making green hydrogen a reality. So the challenge is that industries are really hard to abate, which means what you think it means. It's hard to electrify them such that we can reduce their emissions. So instead, we need to come up with a different way. Hydrogen can do that. So hydrogen can do that because it can be used as a fuel in the power sector or transportation. It can be used as a method of energy storage, and it can also be used as a chemical feedstock, for example, to create green ammonia. And what I mean by hydrogen is not any hydrogen, but specifically green hydrogen. So green hydrogen is taking water, splitting those molecules into hydrogen and oxygen with renewable power. And in that process, there are no emissions, hence the green. Now, this technology is great because we happen to have rapidly falling renewable power prices that we can leverage. But even with that, today's technologies have some disadvantages. So we're not the only ones in the field. We, though, outperform our competitors. So our closest competitors are proton exchange membrane electrolyzer companies. They fail on the social impact scale because they're using noble metals, so mining. They also aren't low cost, again, due to the use of these noble metals. And we all can couple to renewable power. So I want to explain first why we're able to do these things that our competitor isn't. Our competitors do something in which they're actually exchanging hydrogen ions across the membrane. And because of that, you're working in an acidic environment, which is corrosive, and thus you have to use these noble metals like platinum, iridium, and a lot of titanium, which drives up the cost. Now, this has been the way it's done because doing something else in an alkaline environment, which is what you see on the right, where you're exchanging hydroxide ions, has been notoriously difficult due to the membrane itself. But Alchemr is based on the most durable anion exchange membrane there is commercially available. So that was our first technical breakthrough, which has really allowed us to lower the cost of hydrogen production. With our technology, we have an ocean full of opportunity. The hydrogen market is growing rapidly and is expected to be 200 billion in 2 years. Our beachhead market is going to be the heavy-duty transportation sector, specifically because they can't be electrified efficiently, and we can serve that sector with smaller units of electrolyzers as we scale up manufacturing. But once we are at scale with our manufacturing capabilities, we're going after the chemical sector, which contributes to a ton of emissions, as you probably know. We're using a B2B model in which we've talked to our customers and they want to own the electrolyzer. So we said, okay, you can have it, but there's also going to be a maintenance and licensing fee, which is okay. But for us, it's a plus because it allows this recurring revenue stream, allows us to be constant communication with our customers. And with that model, we have the potential to gain more than 100 million in revenue by 2026 alone. So these numbers are great, but how do we get there? Well, we started in 2019 with a 10-watt anion exchange electrolyzer cell, which is the palm of your hand. And since then, we've scaled that by more than 100%. So we're now at 1.2 kilowatts. but we have a long way to go. By the end of this year, we will be raising a seed round so that we can fund our growth technology up to 10 kilowatt single stack, at which point we already have a letter of intent from a green ammonia manufacturer who wants to pilot that. We're keeping going. 2023, our 100 kilowatt single stack, which will be used for the heavy duty transportation sector, hydrogen refueling stations. And then finally, the end of our technical development will be in 2025. Our last product, the 1.5 megawatt, is projected to be able to produce hydrogen at $1.50 per kilogram. That means we've reached cost parity with fossil fuel derived hydrogen, which is a huge breakthrough. We're really excited to get there, but we could use your help. So we're looking for pilot partnerships, heavy duty transportation sector, as well as chemical sector. And we're also looking for investors to participate in our total $6 million seed round, which will accelerate our technical growth to that 10 kilowatt phase. Thank you so much for your attention, and I hope to hear from you.
Thank you, Laureen. You were under 5 minutes. Very impressive.
Miracle.
I know, starting us off strong. All right, our first judging Q&A. We have 3 minutes. So Amy Duffuor, I have you down as asking the first question. And then whichever judge has the second question, please Zoom raise your hand so I know who you are. And then Sanique, you will be our high school judge question. All right, Amy Duffuor, over to you.
First of all, thank you so much, Laureen, for that great presentation. My questions are really around the tech. So you mentioned that Alchemr has more durability. Can you talk a bit more about how much more durable your technology is in comparison to other approaches? And then also, I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you're thinking around the manufacturing process to meet the necessary production volumes.
Great questions, Amy. Thank you. So durability, the typical anion exchange membrane can't run more than around 10,000 hours without seeing significant degradation. We see minimal, meaning we can run for at least 30,000 hours without having to replace that membrane. The second IP that I didn't mention is around scaling the electrolyzer. So competitors in the anion exchange membrane space are actually stuck to really low electrolyzer stacks, around 2 kilowatts. And we're able to get to that 1 megawatt scale. The second question, if I didn't black out when you asked it.
It's around the manufacturing process. So how
are
you thinking around that to meet those production volumes?
Yes, so we're trying to leverage what is already existing for proton exchange membrane electrolyzers. I know they're really scaling up the manufacturing for that since it's the only solution today. So we're making as many components of ours as possible similar to theirs so that it could be an easy transfer.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does another of our investor judges want to ask a question? If so, Nneka, floor is over to you.
Hi, Laureen. Thank you so much for sharing as well. I'm curious about your anion exchange membrane or membrane exchange process. Is this patented? Do you own the IP on it? And then secondly, when you think about your future customers, would they likely be switching from another hydrolysis method, or are you likely to be their first hydrogen partner?
Great questions as well. The first question, IP. We do have an exclusive licensing agreement for this membrane. So we were spun out of an R&D company that invented the membrane. And then we do have our own patent that's pending on the scaling design. And as we continue, we'll grow our portfolio. We also have a trade secret method of developing unitized electrode assemblies, which essentially means that you can easily swap components in and out, unlike the existing technologies. Second question is a great question. I see value to both. So the proton exchange membrane owners, their payback period is so long, though I think they'll see that switching over will result in immediate returns. So I do see that as a reason to switch, and we have heard from them that they're waiting for this technology to get out there so that they can rely on it more. And then we also do have customers that haven't purchased an electrolyzer yet, and they're waiting for a more economically feasible solution.
Thank you.
Well done with those 4 questions roped into 3 speedy minutes.
Yeah,
Nneka.
they tricked me.
I know, but you handled it beautifully. No surprise. So Nneka, over to you for your question.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. It was really interesting the way you approached the problem. I was looking at your startup pitch online, and you talked about how you can make, you can replace the same energy at the same price as cheap fossil fuels. As a company looking to make a switch, is there anything incentivizing me past the fact that it's an equal amount of money? So I'm really just looking at environmental factors as a benefit. Is there anything incentivizing me past that fact?
Yeah, awesome. So the incentive is that people do predict with the decreasing cost of renewable power that the cost of this green hydrogen will eventually be cheaper than fossil fuel derived hydrogen. So that's a big motivator, not to mention their shareholders pushing them for the environmental factor, which you mentioned.
Awesome. Well done, Laureen. A big virtual round of applause.
Oh, thank you so
either
much.
Video clap
Thank
or
you.
Zoom reaction clap. Thank you so much. Lindsey is next with Dispatch Goods. Lindsey, if you'll share your screen. And once it's up, I will start the 5-minute timer and give you the green light before I do so. That is courtesy, I hope. All right, there we go. Thank you, Lindsey. You're on. With no sound.
I didn't unmute myself. Let me try this again.
Do over, the famous words of 2020. That you were moving through the slides beautifully. So that's already a start, a winning technology there. Okay. All right, over to you.
All right, an encore. So I'm Lindsey. I'm the CEO and founder of Dispatch Goods, and I am here to talk trash to you today, specifically regarding single-use packaging. Unfortunately, since the onset of the pandemic, it's been estimated there's been a 250 to 300% rise in single-use packaging. This is devastating. And it's also in stark contrast to other consumer trends, where we're seeing that sustainably marketed products are driving most of all growth across CPGs in the past 5 years. So why this difference? It's because for this consumer who really likes to vote with her dollar, there's not an option for reusable packaging or an alternative when it comes to restaurant delivery and takeout. But that's what we're fixing at Dispatch Goods. Like I mentioned, I'm Lindsey. I formerly ran Surfrider's Ocean Friendly Restaurants program, where I helped restaurants transition to more sustainable practices. But as the market shifted to takeout and delivery, I felt like the options I was giving them were just different shades of bad. And so I started to dream about what kind of infrastructure needed to exist to accelerate reuse. Went back to school at Berkeley, and I met Meroueh, who was the West Coast partnerships lead at CapW and DoorDash, and we teamed up to launch Dispatch Goods. We also have a really strong technical team that's helping to build out the architecture and infrastructure for reuse at scale. And so this is an enormous market, taking into consideration only the 100 largest US metro areas and consumers that order takeout or delivery at least once a week, as well as those that are willing to pay more for sustainable options. It's a $46 billion US TAM. Single use is truly the past. We cannot continue to use all our resources for things that are used for only 12 minutes. Circular solutions are the future, so that next time you're getting your takeout and delivery, you can get it in a reusable bag with reusable containers. Dispatch Goods is making this possible. We make reusability easy and delightful. It's as easy as recycling, and it's much more delightful than single use. So why doesn't this exist? It's not really a trackable container that's needed or a new material. It's an infrastructure. After consumers get reusable packaging, how does it get collected, sorted, processed, washed, and redistributed? That's what we're building. We're building the marketplace so that you can access this, as well as the reverse logistics arm. So from a consumer standpoint, consumers generally discover us when they're checking out from a from DoorDash or directly from a restaurant, and they can add our dispatch goods option for $5 per order. They can also check out directly from our web app as well. They receive their food in reusable containers in a reusable bag, all of which come with a number to text. They send a text with their address, and based on their zip code, we collect in certain neighborhoods on certain days to keep the collection costs down. Like I mentioned, we're launching our web app, and that way consumers can basically shop from restaurants that offer reusable packaging. They can schedule collection, and we're working on a reward system to really encourage participation in reuse. We launched this model in August, and you can see a big uptick in December. It's because we received a container shipment and could onboard more restaurants. So we've grown 10x since our launch. And we launched a pilot with DoorDash in September and expanded that partnership in December. When we add DoorDash and the option for delivery, we see that that we grow about 3x, and it's really exciting as we onboard more DoorDash restaurants. They're making it turnkey so that it's really low friction for restaurants to participate. December was a really exciting month for us. We secured a pilot with Google that will be launching in March. At most of our restaurant partners, we are the most popular modifier on the menu. What I mean by that is we are more popular than plant-based meats or vegan cheese or gluten-free crust, even avocado, which in California is a pretty big deal. We also launched a pilot with Imperfect Foods. We're expanding that this month, and we achieved gross unit profitability, showing that this model is not only in demand, but also profitable. And that was in large part by launching a gig economy collection system where we pay per collection stop. While at the beginning, we see a lot of our revenue driven by these partners and enterprises, over time, once we have this infrastructure, we're really excited about the ability to stack markets, meaning after we're at your home collecting, we can start to collect more items, Strauss milk bottles, gel freezer packs, so that the unit costs go down over time. So we are finishing a pre-seed round that we started raising in December. There's a little bit left of that, but we'll be wrapping that up in the next couple of weeks. And other than that, we'll be launching our seed round in the spring. So if you're interested, we'd love to talk to you. Thank you. Oops.
Wow, we are doing very well with our timing. Big round of applause for Lindsey. Thank you, Lindsey. This was fantastic. You were right under the 5-minute mark, so brilliant. We'll have Amy Francetic. I hope I am saying your name right, with the first judging question. And we will have Stephanie be our high school question. So whichever the other investor judge wants to ask a question, please raise your hand in the Zoom virtual world. Thank you. Amy, over to you.
Great. Terrific presentation, Lindsey. Thank you so much. 2 questions. One is, have you guys calculated what the costs as well as maybe the carbon related impacts are of the driving, the collection, the washing, you know, as sort of an overall sort of carbon impact of your business related to the reusable packaging is question number 1. And then number 2, have you gotten any concerns around healthfulness and cleanliness of the packages, especially during COVID?
Yeah, so regarding kind of the life cycle analysis that we do, you know, the answer is that it depends in comparison to what we're competing against. So our break-even use is between 4 and 40 uses, depending on the comparable container. That's based on the container manufacturer had kind of a life cycle analysis that they had done on their container, and then we added the extra steps to our processes. What the great part is that the driving is a big contributor as well as the weight of the containers. And as we can collect more containers per stop, that will decrease over time. And we'd like to make the containers a little bit more lightweight as well, so that the weight of the containers doesn't contribute so heavily. And then the second question was about, sorry, I forgot. Oh, the cleanliness. Yeah, so that was a question we got a lot right after COVID. And I think that the science wasn't as clear about the virus transmission. We spent about 2 or 3 weeks right after COVID understanding consumer whether they still wanted reuse, and based on that feedback, we the overwhelming answer was that people wanted reuse just as much, if not more, that they did pre-COVID. So we moved forward with pilots all summer and then launched in August. But we're very cognizant of our cleaning process, and we work with the health department.
Lovely. Well done, Lindsey. Investor judges, I don't see. Oh, Amy Duffuor. It's going to be a double Amy. One quick question, Amy, please.
Okay, we'll make it quick. So first of all, Lindsey, thanks so much for your wonderful presentation. I'm really curious to hear more about how you're thinking about which customers to target and how that'll develop over time. I can imagine kind of individual customers that have to find those dispatch bins might be difficult, but corporates could be a really attractive proposition. So I'd love to hear how you're thinking about that.
Yeah, so we spend very little on marketing. Basically, we put this modifier on a menu and 10% of consumers purchase it. So that's kind of our easy early adopter customer segment. And then we do the home collection. They get a text where they can find bins if they want to return them. But generally it comes through the restaurant. So we think about getting customers by adding more restaurants because it comes very organically once we're in the menu. Enterprises, though, offer the density piece, and we had launched with Yelp pre-COVID and then had signed a contract with Zendesk and got one from Deloitte. So that enterprise piece is really, really nice, and we're excited for that to come back.
Let's hope so at some point, my goodness. Thank you, Lindsey and Amy, Amy's plural. Stephanie, for your question.
First off, thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation. My question was, clearly there's social incentives for other restaurants to be using this product, but is there any economic feasibility for other restaurants? Like, what does it look like with the difference between using your products versus using their current single-use plastics?
So we price match their single-use products, so there's no added expense. And so what we, from an economic standpoint for the restaurants, what we can show is that we bring consumers to them. So our customers, once they've found us through one restaurant, look for us at other restaurants. And Zuni Cafe, who's featured here, they actually were the first restaurant to go all reuse. And since making that announcement, they doubled their volume. So they had quoted us 900 containers a week, and after launch, they've been hovering at around 2,000. So we're showing that that people are voting with their dollars when it comes to wasteful packaging.
I love that phrase, voting with one's dollars, and hopefully this whole crowd of 105 participants will do so. Thank you so much, Lindsey. Big round of applause again for Lindsey virtually, please. Madeline, you are next with NexTiles. And you're already unmuted, which is fantastic. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Sorry, Lindsey.
Everyone see my screen okay?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I am Madeline Miller, founder and CEO of NexTiles. At NexTiles, we recycle pre-consumer fabric waste into eco-friendly building insulation. I am a native of Detroit and an environmental scientist. Everyone understands the negative impact that plastic has on our environment. But what a lot of people don't realize is that the world's fabric waste is growing rapidly, and 85% of it is either landfilled or incinerated. In 2018, I started a master's program at the University of Miami's Rosenstiel School of Marine and Atmospheric Science, but with absolutely no background in in marine science, excuse me. While conducting my research, I was shocked to discover that all of the plastic in the ocean isn't from bottles and containers, and that such a large percentage of it is from clothing and textiles. On this journey, I learned that most of my favorite clothing designers and car companies send tons of scrap fabric to landfills, and that some of these companies couldn't recycle if they wanted to because there just aren't many solutions. And this is how NexTiles was born. At NexTiles, we prevent fabric waste from ever entering landfills so that it doesn't end up in our oceans and food systems, and we turn harmful waste into something good, our eco-friendly building insulation. Globally, 80% of textiles are doomed for landfill or incineration at end of life. And once they're landfilled, natural textiles can take several years to decompose, where synthetic fibers, on the other hand, can take up to 200 years to decompose. During the process, they shed plastic fibers and leak chemicals and dyes into our soil and water. And why is this a problem? Because the growth of textile waste is already outpacing every other major category of waste, and global consumption is expected to increase 63% by 2030. NexTiles is a part of the solution. So we pick up waste from local manufacturers and turn it into low-dust, eco-friendly building insulation. Building insulation is the most cost-effective recommendation to help reduce heating and cooling bills and to decrease harmful greenhouse gases in buildings. In our case, it's blown into wall cavities, attic floors, and ceilings. On this slide, you'll see the type of industrial shredder that we use to convert our collected material to loose fill insulation. And this is our minimum viable insulation product. It is a shredded cotton and synthetic fabric blend. In the United States, the demand for residential building insulation is projected to grow to $3.6 billion by 2022. The main growth driver is stricter building codes that require more insulation per home and home retrofits to combat climate change. In fact, President Biden's clean energy plan specifically includes retrofitting 4 million homes over 4 years and weatherizing many commercial buildings to create at least 1 million good-paying green jobs. Eventually, the reuse of textiles and other materials will become the norm for us. And if NexTiles can capture just 1% of the US green insulation market, that would equate to $10.8 million annual market. But more importantly, we have the opportunity to change lives by creating local jobs while we clean up our environment. The fact that the Midwest region has older housing stock than much of the country and the trend of increased home improvement spending makes the Great Lakes region an ideal area to market blown-in insulation to. For example, in Detroit, 60% of the city's housing stock was built before 1970, which makes it more than 50 years old and presents a wonderful opportunity for insulation upgrades. Depending on what a company currently pays to dispose of its waste, we charge up to $2 per pound to pick up from manufacturing centers. And this strategy fits nicely with companies' corporate social responsibility models. And in terms of the sale of our eco-friendly insulation, we are targeting a price point of $1.40 per square foot. In 2020, we launched our website, completed several startup accelerator programs, began textile waste pickup services, and tested our first prototype. This year, we will purchase a small industrial shredder, conduct a pilot manufacturing program, and conduct field performance testing. We will install our insulation into the walls of 10 homes, gather case study research, and launch full manufacturing 1 year from now. To do this, we want to raise $100,000 to finish product development, which includes ASTM testing, a pilot program, and the start of full manufacturing. It would also be awesome to have a business mentor. I recognize that great mentorship could be the difference between failure and success. I'm incredibly excited about our future. The future of fabric is the circular economy, and at NexTiles, we're driving it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeline. Big round of applause. Some might say that you are patching that future together. As a fan of bad puns, I apologize. All right, we have Barbara asking the first investor question. And then please, we'll have Amy Francetic asking the second question. And please ask one question at a time so that Madeline has an opportunity to answer it. Thank you. Barbara, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Madeline, that was a terrific presentation, very inspiring. So it sounds to me like I love the end-to-end solution, but could you describe a marketplace? Because it seems to me as you advance into post-seed round, you're going to need to have a tech stack that embraces a marketplace where you have textile manufacturers that are selling their waste. Can you describe how that model is going to work for you?
Sure. So our current model is that we're picking up from and taking advantage of Detroit's manufacturing sector, fashion manufacturers and auto interior manufacturers. One of our eventual goals is to launch a marketplace where the collected textiles could be used and sold to local designers and whatever the market is for reusable textiles.
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. Amy.
Hey, Madeline. Hey, Madeline, that was really exciting. And I have a teenage daughter who is really into Depop and recycling clothes and sort of reselling them. So I think this is so timely, and I think she would love this. Can you talk a little bit about what is necessary in the processing of the textiles in order to make it meet building codes and other requirements for insulation, like the treatment of the textiles? Like what's involved in that so that it could be easily swapped out for insulation?
Sure. So we have a process where we sort our textiles according to fiber content, which is the initial step in that. But the step that we're investigating now and the solution that we've sort of just encountered is a borate solution to treat our material. So that creates flame retardation, allows the material to repel insects and sort of rise to all of the other standard insulation qualities. And it's sort of it's the secret sauce, but it varies from industry to industry and makes that insulation usable in homes.
Fantastic. Thank you, Madeline. Sadiq, go ahead with your question.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. As somebody looking at a lot of the plastic recycling issues, it's really interesting to see this idea. One question I had was, this idea seems to be focused around the prevention and turning fabric into insulation. But for all of the textile fabric that's already dispersed into the environment, is there any plan on sort of taking that out from the environment and repurposing it into insulation?
Mm-hmm. So our current solution focuses only on pre-consumer waste, and that obviously makes this idea feasible as a startup, because when you are sourcing post-consumer waste, you have to deal with the issue of cleanliness and sourcing from so many different locations. But that is something that we ultimately like to explore once we've launched our product and set the standard for what that looks like. It's just difficult to implement in this moment.
Fantastic. Thank you. And another big round of applause for Madeline. Thank you so much for presenting. All right, so at this time, we will be taking a quick break to watch the 10-year celebration video of WCS and what has happened in the last 10 years. So you are welcome to stand up, stretch, dance a second if that sounds great to you, whatever you feel like, get some water, and we will be here playing the video. Kim, over to you.
This is Sarah Fuentes and Lisa Ann, the founder of Women in Cleantech and Sustainability. How are you today, Lisa?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a special day.
Yes, it is. We're here to talk to you and everyone about our 10-year anniversary. And I have the privilege of talking to Lisa today and kind of reminiscing. I get to reminisce with my friend here around the history of Women in Cleantech and Sustainability. This is a real crucial point for us. And Lisa, I wanted to ask you, can you remember the first WCS event?
So I had made a New Year's resolution that I wanted to start this organization. And I'd sat with it for about 1.5 to 2 years, maybe more, thinking that I would create it, and then, oh, somebody else will do something better. And finally, I was like, you know what? I just have to do this. So on January 1st, 2011, I set up Meetup, and I set up the first event for January 18th. And it was very simple: mix and mingle, and let's all get together at a restaurant. We met at Hoell in Palo Alto, which is a Spanish tapas restaurant, and it was really great. We had some drinks, I ordered some appetizers, and we just talked and met each other.
Tell me why Women in Cleantech and Sustainability was on the forefront and on your mind.
At the time, it had been about 2 years since I had formed my company, Nneka Communications, and I was going to a lot of co-ed networking events, where it would be me and maybe 5 other women in the room. And so we would naturally gravitate towards each other. At the same time, I was going to female entrepreneurship events. And I think you and I met at a Women Entrepreneurs of the Bay Area event a couple of years prior.
Exactly.
As you know, those were great. Like the networking was really wonderful, and the people were very supportive. It was very uplifting, inspiring. And I wanted to bring these two worlds together, Cleantech and sustainability, and the sisterhood and the joy and fun that came from networking with the majority of women in a room.
I attended an event, I think it was in August, in also Palo Alto at the Three Seasons outside on the patio in the nice summer day. And I tell you what, that was a really cool, fun event as well. And I was thinking to myself, wow, I want to hang out with these women, because I not only was I able to get some really valuable connections, but I felt like we had a common goal. I felt like we all had a similar interest, and also just the informalities of it at that time, right?
One of our tendencies is that we want to have fun. We're all volunteers. Yes. This is like play, right? Even a panel that we're going to have is going to be fun. And I think that's really important. That's part of our DNA and part of our culture. And I think that's, people really recognize that when they come and hang out at our events, they really enjoy them, because we're here to have fun and be supportive.
Now, Lisa, let me ask you this question. 10 years ago today, did you imagine that we would be where we are now in almost 10 countries, in over 10 states, growing to be an international organization, influencing women, and also providing opportunities for women to find their dream jobs, setting a platform for mentorship? Did you imagine that we would be where we are now 10 years ago?
In my wildest dreams, I thought we might get here, but it might take 20 years. I had no idea that we would grow this quickly and this broadly. And I really have to thank the pandemic for that, in a way. Because, you know, people were always asking us to do virtual events, and we didn't want to take it on because we felt like it was going to be very cumbersome and complicated and arduous. But COVID really encouraged us to turning a challenge into an opportunity, right? And we did that. And I think we've done humbly very well, and people love our online events, especially since we spend so much effort in making sure that the networking piece is valuable to people. And we have grown exponentially. And really, too, I have to thank the board and all the volunteers, because it took all of us together, working as like a hive mind, doing our thing. And that's how we've grown so fast. Because part of the DNA of the organization is that everybody has agency to take on projects and lead initiatives if they want to. And people do want to, and they step up and they do it, and they do a great job.
For not only myself, but other women in the organization has been able to help us find who we are as women leaders, help us find who we are as women entrepreneurs, or help us find who we are in our workplace, and establish how to communicate our voice in a room with maybe other male or other female counterparts, where maybe in the past we would be a little timid, because we get the practice in these types of events that we host on a weekly basis. We get to practice speaking up and having our voice. And I think I really have to thank you, Lisa. I thank you for taking the risk, because I'm sure you had this level of anxiety about taking a risk and starting something new. But now we're fast forward 10 years. Here's our birthday. Happy birthday, W.
No. We're going to make some big dreams come true soon. I'm excited.
Yes.
Woohoo! And with that, let's keep celebrating some fantastic female entrepreneurship in our industries. with Kristin presenting about Opcondys. Kristin, if you'll kindly share your slides, and I'll be ready with the timer.
There we go. Well, thank you, Melanie, for the introduction. Opcondys is developing a revolutionary electric power switching device called the Optical Transconductance Varistor, or OTV. We will supply the OTV to manufacturers of high voltage equipment where it will reduce electrical losses in that equipment by 50% and also reduce equipment size and weight. This gives end users savings in both capital and operating costs. So as the electric grid has become more complex with the addition of renewable energy sources, energy storage, microgrids and such, more advanced control is needed to ensure that electricity is delivered where it's needed, when it's needed, and in the right form. Increasingly, specialized transistors called power electronic devices are being used in grid equipment to provide this control. But the existing devices are operated by electrical signals. This causes them to operate fairly slowly, which leads to electricity being lost in the conversion process. They're also limited in the voltage and current that they can handle. The OTV operates in a very different way. It's controlled by light. This light action provides faster operation, which reduces the electricity losses in the device. Also, the OTV can operate at voltages that are commonly found in the grid, and so only one device is needed where many of the conventional power electronic devices are used. So this reduces equipment size, weight, and cost. So the technology was developed at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory for fast pulse switching, but they realized that it had commercial applications as well. So they have patented the device. We have licensed technology from them, but we have also in our development have filed for 2 additional patents, and there's also international protection on the device as well. So the OTV can operate at voltages that are about 3 to 5 times the highest voltage that any device now on the market can work at. But we do it at much reduced energy losses and at a competitive price. So with grants from the National Science Foundation and the California Energy Commission, we performed a benchtop proof of concept test where we had the light source and the switching material separate, but we were able to demonstrate that it could operate at 20 kilovolts and much faster than conventional devices. With an award from ARPA-E, we've now combined all of the elements into a compact module that's similar in size and operation to existing modules on the market. We're also going to, we're about ready to begin testing on this module, and we should have results soon. And then we will also demonstrate its use in a unique energy storage inverter. So the OTV will provide greater control and reliability of grid level electricity while saving energy and reducing CO2 emissions. This will also enable greater adoption of renewable energy sources by improving grid equipment, such as that for high voltage direct current transmission, grid tied energy storage, and renewable energy inverters as well. The OTV also is simpler to produce, and so it reduces the energy and chemicals that are used in the production process. So the market for the OTV is for power electronic modules. It's large and growing, and we expect to be able to address about half of this market by 2025. We will begin with our first product in products that will use innovative technologies first. such as an air cleaning, air sanitization device that can address COVID problems. This could be for buildings or personal applications or military applications, such as the electromagnetic aircraft launch system. And once they've been proven here, they can get into the more conservative electric power market. So we will derive revenue from sales, and we expect to be able to be profitable within 2 to 3 years of beginning going to market. We're currently seeking $500,000 in angel investment that will be used to produce and market our first device. So that is how Opcondys will be run. Okay. I'll be happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much. Big round of applause for Kristin, please. Nneka, we have you as the first question for the investor panel, and then we'll have Stephanie as our high schooler questioning, and then any of the investor judging panels, please raise your hand. We have Amy Francetic. That was quick to raise it there. All right, Nneka, over to you.
Thank you so much, Kristin. When I was looking at your technology, and it's really clear that you understand exactly how to utilize the PETs. Do you, however, on the other side, you have so many capabilities and use cases. Have you thought about going the licensing route versus the product route? Or is there a reason why you've chosen one versus the other?
Well, basically the manufacturing process uses uses some of the same processes as semiconductors, but not all of them. So it's a very unique product. We have considered licensing. The question would be whether or not those could, the companies who would like to license it would have the manufacturing capability. But yes, we have considered it.
Thank you. Amy Francetic.
Hi, Kristin. Great job on the presentation. And can you tell us what do you need from a funding standpoint, and what steps are involved in getting UL certification for your product?
Well, because our device will actually go into other manufacturers' devices, it doesn't necessarily, and it's not a consumer product, it doesn't really need UL certification. It's like, you know, the transistors like you could purchase off of electronic suppliers. And so because it goes into another product, it doesn't per se need the certification. We had looked into that and actually asked UL about that.
Great, thank you, Kristin. Stephanie, over to you.
Hi, thank you for such a wonderful presentation. So it's my understanding that your product goes into the manufacturer's product, but as we're discussing the issues with your competitors' current stances on their products, how aware are the consumers of the issues, and what marketing strategies are you gonna put in place to increase awareness on those issues so that they know what exactly they're buying?
Right. So we're basically a business to business. So we will be marketing our device to manufacturers such as Eaton or Siemens, you know, those who make equipment for the grid. And so we would be going really directly to their engineers, to their product managers, just to let them know what the capability of this device is and the advantages that it offers.
Thank you, Kristin. Another big round of applause for Kristin and Opcondys. Okay. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Susan with Origen Air. And once we have you up and running, we'll start the 5-minute timer. As we all hold our breath.
Hi there, I'm just going to share my screen.
There you are. In the meantime, we can all admire the beautiful plants behind you before we see more on screen.
Can you see my screen?
We see your speaker notes screen.
Oh, strange. Okay, sorry, just one sec. I'm gonna stop share and do that again. I don't know what happened there.
Sure thing.
Seem to have two screens open. Sorry about that. Let's try this way. Does that work?
Still on the speaker notes screen.
Strange. Strange, it worked at the beginning. I don't know why it's not working right now. I'm just gonna do it one more time.
Between all of the technologies that are floating around during COVID, there is no lack of adjusting between them, where the buttons are, how they function.
Okay.
And this is a welcoming, forgiving, and understanding group as well. I'm enjoying seeing lots of green backgrounds too, which is very appropriate for Origen.
How is that?
There we go. Fantastic.
So,
all right, Susan.
Nice to meet everybody. It's an honor to share the stage and pitch to so many incredible women, especially the day after the glass ceiling was broken. So my name is Susan Blanchet. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Originaire, and I'm Canadian. Mother Earth is 4.6 billion years old. Scale that to the 46 years I've spent on this planet, and the Industrial Revolution started 1 minute ago. In that time, humans have destroyed over half of Earth's natural habitats. Have you noticed how smoke from a fire or a smokestack dissipates and becomes invisible? Take a look at these two glasses as if they represent indoor air. Which one do you think is more deadly? You wouldn't ingest the dirty one, but the clear glass contains invisible carcinogens and viruses, while the dirty one only contains dust and pollen. The World Health Organization recently called indoor air pollution the largest single environmental health risk. The problem is it is invisible and damage occurs over time, causing deadly health issues such as lung disease, organ failure, and mental decline. In 2019, indoor air pollution cost North Americans $17 billion in healthcare and absenteeism. At Origen, our mission is to produce clean air and reduce GHG emissions. Nature can't fix itself without our help. Imagine if we could empower nature and bring it back inside for people and the planet to prosper. At Origen, we have put together a team of serial entrepreneurs, engineers, doctors, and our inspiring next generation. We wake up every day with the sole purpose of reversing the damage done to the earth. Backed by tech and business savvy advisors, and supported by an ecosystem of incubators and academia. Today, I want to talk to you about our UN SDGs and how we want to make buildings safe by empowering nature. At Origen, we take plants and sunlight, soil, and wind, add a dose of technology, and voila. The Sentinel purifies air of carcinogens and viruses. Did you know that regular plants can't remove toxins from air? The Sentinel uses patent-pending, genetically enhanced plants to act like your liver and metabolize microscopic toxins. Did you know that UVC light from sunshine can actually kill viruses? At Origen, we use patented UVC light certified to kill airborne viruses in one pass through our machine in under 4 seconds. And finally, our probiotic spray, made from soil, replenishes the natural microbiome as we release the oxygenated air with wind made from our fans. All of this is measured and controlled by our app. Our sensor tech is what will make the invisible visible. We are entering the $11 billion smart air purifier market. Our scalable technology will be leased, similar to office copiers, ensuring high levels of quality control, plant health, and customer satisfaction. The Sentinel also has a digital billboard to provide huge ad revenues to our clients. Right out of the gate, we are focusing efforts internationally with strategic partners setting up our full supply chain in Singapore and Indonesia. This is to serve the Asian market where 98 of the world's 100 most polluted cities are located. Nava is a multi-million-dollar biofilter company out of Scandinavia. However, they only use regular plants that have been proven to do nothing to remove toxins. Mechanical air purifiers can't even capture these microscopic carcinogens. Inverid, a US company, uses sorbent filters to absorb airborne carcinogens. However, they superheat and exhaust them right back outside, creating a NIMBY situation. Origen uses enhanced plants that actually eat the toxins without creating waste, and it also can kill coronavirus. In 2020, we raised $500,000, added 9 staff and 7 advisors to our team, and completed our prototype. We are currently testing and certifying the Sentinel. Our slogan, Nature Empowered, really comes alive with our future plans for the Canopy, an HVAC integrated system that recirculates clean air, reducing a building's GHG emissions by up to 40%, contributing to our Paris Accord goals. Our ask, we are raising $1 million and looking for pilot partnerships to deliver the Sentinel to market in 2021. Thank you.
Well done, Susan. Big congrats to Origen, Air, and Susan. Thank you. All right. Amy Duffuor, you are up first. And then Nneka.
Oh, no worries. First of all, great presentation, Susan. As someone who lived in Singapore for a couple of years, when I saw Origen, I thought, wow, this would make a lot of sense in the Asian market. So a question for me is around kind of the technology. So you said it yourself, and as a result of COVID, people are paying a lot more attention to air filters. Can you talk a little bit more about this enhanced plant technology? And you mentioned some emerging competitors, but kind of what sort of IP is around and how defensible that is?
Yeah, so right now we're the only company that I know of with access to the IP of a genetically enhanced plant. So our plants are a Pothos IV. There's a couple on my shelf behind me, not the plant wall, but on the shelf. They were developed at the University of Washington over the last 15 years, and Origen holds an exclusive global license for the next 10 years. So in that time, we should be far enough ahead of any competitors that might develop the technology before we have competition.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question.
Thanks, Susan.
Fantastic. Nneka.
Yes. I'm curious about the air purification kind of exchange rate. It seems like your system has 3 ways that it clears the air, the manual pulling, the probiotic spray, and then the plant aspiration.
Yeah.
So does that mean that you therefore only exchange a portion of, need to exchange a portion of the room's air to clean it?
We can clean in preliminary tests 1,000 square foot room in 20 minutes. So the air is pulled into the first chamber, which is where the plants are. The plants can clean out microscopic volatile organic compounds, and then it's pulled into a closed chamber where it goes through some baffling in under 4 seconds. And that's where the UVC light is, because it's dangerous to humans. So you have to have that in a closed chamber. And then we add the probiotic at the end, because UVC light kills good and bad, kind of like antibiotics in our gut. And the probiotic adds the good microbiome back as we push the oxygenated air out to the room.
Fantastic. Thank you. Sonique, over to you.
Hi, thank you for the wonderful pitch. This pitch really made me wonder, sort of, where are you targeting your plants? Where are you targeting the market to be held at? Because I know HVAC filters right now can't reduce the output of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So which nations are you looking to produce your market in?
Well, I'm located on the west coast of Canada, so we are looking to do a pilot here. We also would love to do a pilot in California. And then we're applying for a pilot project in Singapore right now, because 98 out of the top 100 most polluted cities are in Asia. So it just makes sense for us to get there as quickly as possible. Does that answer your question, Samik?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. A closing round of applause for Susan.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And last but certainly not least, we will have Melody speaking to us about Reef Life. Over to you, Melody, if you'll share your screen.
Thank you, everybody, for hanging in. It's been an incredible evening to listen to everybody. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Good to go.
Okay, we have a strange customer. It's watery. It covers 71% of the planet. It provides the every second breath every one of us have breathed during this hour. And there's these two-legged creatures that have no gills. They can't go underwater without equipment, and they keep trashing the place. So the ocean called on us to see how we could help. The problem is significant. Coral reefs are the backbone, actually the skeletons of how the whole planet works. 50% of coral reefs worldwide are dying. That's a $3 trillion loss every year. They feed 1 billion of us a day. They support 25% of all marine life. They protect our coastlines and properties. And this year, $95 billion in the United States happened because of storms trashing our coastline. So coral reefs have an incredible amount of elements that it really holds up the entire planet. We were asked to create another type of bone structure that the corals would like. And these are biomimicking. It's a nanomaterial. It's an artificial reef that actually restores coastal properties. And we have been in development of this for 10 years. There's solutions on the big scale and there's solutions on a small scale. The local benefits are jobs on island and coastal communities, ecotourism services, fisheries, and aquaculture. We're working very closely with aquaculture companies globally to develop the right substrate to go medicines, pharmaceuticals, different types of algae, and that's really our long game. We recently were honored to win the Greening of the Islands Award. There were 7 companies in the entire globe that won this, and the judges were from Malta, Maldives, and the UN, and we will be a part of this global observatory of how these 7 innovations can truly save islands and coastlines. We come from a nanomaterials background. My original companies were stone casting. We were the top small business in the state of Texas, top in the region of the southern United States, export awards. And we were doing the incredible nanotechnologies, and it was the coral people who came to us and said, you guys need to pay attention to this. If you guys can't figure this out, the earth is going to be in deep, deep trouble. We have a varied team of all kinds of scientists all over the planet, from nanomaterials, parametric modeling, architects, engineers, marine biologists. Every kind of person that's in that marine sphere has been working with us on how in the world can we fix this huge global project. We bootstrapped this by ourselves. It took us 10 years to develop it. We put the money in ourselves. We self-funded the field testing. We did an incredible flagship project on 3 areas in the Caribbean. And now that we have gotten the testing back, we've been able to see the results. Now we are in a very, an interesting place, because now we have so many projects, it's going to be very difficult to figure out which ones to do first. The success of it is on a number of different levels. You can see all these fish down here at the bottom. We put this material in a trash part of the island. It was highly toxic. It's just really sand. And these modules feed fish every 15 seconds. They had no fish on that part of the island, and there's both carnivores and herbivores that feed off of our substrates. The corals left the natural reefs and came to our reefs and grew another home. Different types of sponges self-clean articles and the water, so it is its own purifying system. The stone itself is pervious and cleans the water around it. And when we put the stone in the water, you can see it clean. And after a year, it looked like a 100-year-old reef. So now scaling this up, these are the modules that we have designed. These are massive, so they would be actually a bone structure around different parts of the planet. We are bidding on global projects in 5 major regions. This was designed actually for the Mesoamerican reef. And we are also looking at putting this in a new coastal project for the United States of America. These are current and potential clients, governments, UN. Certainly we work within the SDG 14, the ocean space is our space. We signed a teaming agreement this morning for the Department of Defense in the United States for our coastline with this company Linker, who also is in charge of being the prime contractor for NOAA, which is the United States, everything that has to do with oceans for our country.
Congratulations, Melody. That is
really
fantastic.
Big. It's so huge. So that just happened this morning. So it's fun when when cool things happen. So DARPA, which is our Defense Department, is wanting to build these artificial reefs off the coast of the military bases around the world, and that'll be 184 bases. So these are some of the potential contracts that we're in discussion with as of this year. Misul Resort, so different types of resorts, Jamaica, Bahamas. We have consultation projects in Norway. They want these vertical farms for aquaculture, going back to St. Martin, Florida for the DARPA project, different Caribbean islands, and the second biggest reef on the planet, the Mar Fund, we are bidding with. It's an interesting type.
We'll move into the investor questions to stick to time since it's you have.
Thank you. Okay.
That is so fascinating. I stopped looking at my own clock for a hot second.
Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely. So we'll turn it over to Barbara to ask the first investor question, and then I'll ask whichever investor wants to raise their hand for a second question, but we might speed through these, and you're welcome to click through the rest of your slides so we can take a peek.
Hey, Melody.
Thank you, Barbara.
I agree with Melanie. Very exciting. We're going something fantastic. So what I don't completely understand is, so I know that there are a lot of things out there like concrete and other substances and mineral accretion devices and all kinds of solutions that have been around for a while and that are actually getting deployed. Can you just tell us a little bit more in the way of detail about what this exactly is and why it's superior or the same or better than anything else out there?
Yeah, concrete has a pH of 12. Seawater is a pH of 8.1. Our provisional patent, we have 57 claims, and it has this mineral mixture, and it looks like these rocks, and there's a piece of it right there. And it's very difficult to put that together, but that has the same pH as seawater. So really what we're talking about is speed. We've been contacted by the 7 reefs they're going to save on the planet, and you can see this market strategy. The UN has said if we can save even 2 of these 7 reefs, we might save the biodiversity of the planet. So we're all about speed. You can put concrete in the water. It may take between 4 and 10 years longer than ours. They did put concrete next to ours, and there were 3 little spots, and you could see all the creatures that went to ours. So we're talking speed, we're talking durability, we're talking customization, and the ways that you can do it is just totally different than concrete. It's a different animal.
What is it?
Thank you, Melody. Oh.
What is it?
Yeah.
It is a mineral mixture. It's pozzolanic minerals, which actually are volcanic. So it's a mineral mixture that has the same textures as a natural reef. You can't make concrete do this because we're really good at how we can create a different type of casting operation. Pure Portland cement is very toxic. People are doing 3D printing, highly toxic. So what we're talking about now is speed to recovery of the ocean. You can put concrete in, it is highly toxic, and it's like throwing trash in the water.
That all makes a lot of sense, and goodness knows we don't want to do that. All right, we will close off Reef Life with a question from Stephanie.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I really enjoyed it. So my question is regarding your actual product and how it interacts with other types of reef life, just because it's wonderful that it can mimic similar situations and be beneficial to other fish and other consumers, but how will it benefit, let's say, like coral populations and ones that are actually dying?
Yeah, that's a cool question. As the reefs die, when they spawn once a year, they're throwing out their fertilized eggs, and their eggs are going through the water and they're looking for fish. They can smell, they can hear, they're looking for color, and they're looking for some place that seems healthy. So when we first brought this to the big scientists of Ruth Gates, and if you've seen Chasing Coral, that's who really told us to stick with it. It was interesting to see in St. Martin, the corals left their own home and came to ours because of the bioactivity that was on our reefs that was so much of an improvement from the degraded reefs. So they left home and came here, and their growth rates are so much higher.
That's
Did that
amazing.
answer your question?
My goodness. Yes.
Sorry, didn't I? Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all so very much. A big round of applause for Melody and for all of the startups. Y'all did a terrific job. Thank you for all of the great questions from our investor judges and high schoolers as well. Stephanie and Samik, we are so impressed. My goodness, we have little side conversations going about how great you are. So you have all been so wonderful. We will be heading out into breakout rooms to network in a hot second. And Melody, if you can stop sharing screens, or I guess Kim is taking over, fantastic. We will be having a audience favorite award. So please, in the chat, I've just sent the Google form. Please cast your vote for which startup should win the audience favorite award. It is, since we wanted to keep this anonymous, there is the ability to submit multiple times, but we hope that this big crowd will be honest and not try voting multiple times, which is why we're saying it out loud, and really hope if there are more votes than folks on this call, we will be highly suspicious. So thank you all very much, and over to the breakout rooms to network and talk about these two topics you see on your screen. And for our judges, we will send you into your own breakout room so that you might deliberate and select the winning startup. As folks come back from the Zoom etherwebs, facilitators, or if folks want to give a highlight, a snippet or two, please raise your Zoom hand and I will call on folks over the next 2 or 3 minutes to share those insights and those nuggets of wealth and information after those fantastic presentations.
Melanie, just real quick, is it okay for you to repost the voting in the chat again, just because some feedback that not everybody was able to catch it before we went into the breakout room. So just an event, some people didn't get to vote. And since I'm talking, I just want to say quick shout out to Melody. I was in the room with Melody and another founder. And so it was awesome to kind of talk about Melody's project there. And I look at things, I want to try to be non-biased when I'm sitting in the room full of pitches. And I looked at her project as being the infrastructure for our planet. And that was one of the reasons why I would vote for her in terms of her business, is because, you know.
Hey, no swing votes here. That's not part of the rules of the game, Sarah.
Sorry. But
there are 6 winners for the record.
Sorry, I'm biased because I'm in the waste industry and I like to you know, think about waste infrastructure, and I look at infrastructure on not just on a in our material world, but in the world that we don't see, which is the underworld. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. And I reposted the link to the form in the chat for everyone else. All right, Julie, if you want to share a highlight or nugget of wisdom that was in your conversation.
Yeah, so I was in the room with Jackie and with Janie and Jade, and so we thought that we would invest in like Opcondys because like they showed a quick and beneficial impact. They have like a patent and to protect their well-established technology. But we thought also that like NexTiles as well, like they showed a growing market, and as a consumer, we feel compelled to kind of invest in the technology like that. And Alchemr as well, because the growing market. However, if we could work for any of these startups, we would definitely go scuba diving and join Reef teams. Because that's such a nice space to work, and Alchemr as well, because they show really interesting strategic partnerships to be created with, like, for instance, oil and gas companies transitioning to other domains. So yeah, we had really interesting conversations. I was very happy to be part of it.
All right, now I'm feeling suspicious about the votes that are coming in for the audience favorite award. So please remember that we are counting on all of you to be honest and not to be counting double voting, so that this is a very honest vote that is happening here. And with that, we will send you off to your next breakout room so that you might meet some new folks and make some new connections. Theo, over to you.
We need a couple more minutes. A lot of rooms.
Oh, all right. Sounds good. What other insights do folks have?
I could say in my room, I was with the 2 Sophias, and I'd say the highlight of our conversation was talking about the younger generation. I know at Origen we have a lot of employees under 25, and it's just so wonderful to see and know that the next generation, almost like I'd say the majority of them, actually care about these issues and are going to be the champions, because that's what we need in the future. So it's exciting. Not enough people my age are this passionate about it. So thank you. That was the big thing about our conversation.
That is awesome. What a great insight to have. My goodness. And it is great. Hopefully we will have more engagement from even younger crowds in the future. We'll see if we can get middle schoolers or even elementary school folks, since the data shows that 5th grade is the turning point for young girls to steer away from STEM, which is sad because there are so many great successes and stories to be shared, which is why WCS has this annual pitch competition, because we want to highlight the successes and the entrepreneurial minds that women have in the clean tech and sustainability industries, amongst many other successes that us women have. What other conversations were discussed during the breakout rooms?
One of the things that we were talking about again as young people, and Greta has inspired the entire planet. I mean, she was strong enough to say, okay, you people, you old people that have trashed the place, you know, we're ready to stand strong. And I think she is so astonishing. So molding and helping this young person become more sustainable and become more of an ownership of the planet, the little part of the planet they live in, I think is all of our responsibility. And so I'm just so proud of all of these companies to say, we're taking a stand against pollution, we're gonna be more sustainable and figure out how we can incorporate clean tech into our daily lives.
Yeah, I would echo that. It's almost, you know, we all know that it takes a village to do anything, and we need a lot of different solutions to solve a big problem that we have. And so it's almost, I almost don't want to pick one company out of this list, because all of you are going to make a difference on the planet in your own way, and all of you are needed. All of your solutions are needed for different reasons. And so I'm just thankful that you all came here and pitched with us and shared with us your stories. And I'm really excited for all of you to make those waves and make the difference on the planet, because we need your help. So thank you.
Given the amount of water and plants, it takes a forest, it takes an ocean, it takes a weave of denim textiles. All right, I'll try and stop there. It takes all of us, every single one of us, trying their darn hardest and bringing all the ideas to the table.
Thank you, Melanie. I think we're ready to go.
Fantastic. And with that, I will close the audience voting. So this is your last second, if you haven't already, and have fun in those breakout rooms. Make some great connections. As we get those numbers back up, and hopefully folks haven't left, if you would either raise your hand or unmute and share some of the insights and takeaways you've had from this breakout session.
So real quick, Melanie, we in the judging world have a bit of a tie that we were trying to figure it out in the last 15 seconds. So the judges, I don't know if it's possible for us to go back in or not, just for 2 minutes, or should we? I can ask one.
I will send the judge. Let's send the judges back into a breakout room. And in the meantime, we will hear 2 or 3 of the takeaways that folks had, and we will share who the audience favorite was.
Thank you very much.
EO, if you would kindly assist with making that happen, that would be lovely. I know that you must be clicking away furiously to get those breakout rooms together.
I am helping to send everybody else. Oh, what did I do?
And there is a request to send the breakout, or to send Stephanie and Samik, our high schoolers, to the breakout room with the judges as well, please.
Okay.
So as we're waiting, I just wanted to say some feedback in terms of to the pitch. I had given some feedback to in my breakout room, and it was maybe have 2 pitches, maybe for the more technical audience that you need to deliver all this technical information, and then maybe another pitch to a broader audience that may not want as much technical information, or may not be as interested, or may just need to dumb down the information as well, because not everybody may be as familiar with some of the technical vernacular that was used today in the pitches. And so one of the things is, like, we can explain things in story, but also being able to deliver something complex and bring it back to the general audience in a simpler way. So that was just some positive feedback, and that I wanted to share to the people that pitched today. Great, wonderful job.
Yeah, I can share from my breakout room. We all just loved the variety and were very impressed by everyone. And a couple of things that really stood out for us was not only the storytelling, but how our attention was grabbed initially, and really helping to frame the problem, so that if we're not familiar with the industry, it kind of gives us that quick initial backstory of, okay, this is where the industry is at today, and then this is how, this is our product, and this is how we can have a solution for that, and then how it's better than what's out there.
2 more seconds, so close.
Well, we learned a lot today. We've never given a fast pitch like this. We're mostly in a room of nanomaterials weirdos, and they need to know what a nanoparticle activation does. So I rarely get to give kind of a general thing of, this is why oceans are cool, and why we want to improve them. So we learned a lot today about how to speed up the pitch to get people to understand a little bit better and not get drug into the science so much.
And hopefully it's a useful exercise to all the startups.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to boil passion down into a 5-minute.
It is.
Or
20 years.
Or 20 years, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's but an amazing job by everybody, for sure. I want to learn more. I'm already Googling everybody.
I was thinking that these pitches are so great. I would like, your help in creating our pitch, which, my pitch deck is terrible. And I saw these and they were really catchy. Some had like nice images, some had little text, some had more text. Very nice.
Well, that is beautiful feedback, and I completely agree with it. So in the interest of time, since we are almost at time, and I know that this is such a cliffhanger for our dear 6 startups, let's get rolling with the audience favorite at the very least. So whoever was presenting, if you don't mind throwing the slide up. Thank you, Kim. So virtual drum roll, please. The audience favorite on slide 16 is, this is even more suspense than I was thinking. Reef Life Restoration. Melody successfully won over our audience bet. Clearly, NexTiles also got a lot of votes, and actually all did. And looking at the feedback that everyone gave, everyone said it was a hard pick. Everyone did an amazing job, and that everyone had really nice decks, which I completely agree with, as we just heard. So thank you all. Lots of, in particular, comments of clearly brilliant inventors and wanting to know more. So I hope that everyone is connecting with one another, and I will turn it over to Kelly to announce the big winner. So drum roll, round 2.
Yes, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us. And after an amazing event, we do have a winner. And drum roll, please. Oh, I couldn't hear it, but that's okay. Next slide. There is Alchemr, and Laureen Meroueh is our overall winner with their hydrogen solution. Laureen, please come off mute and say hello and thank you.
Hi! Oh my goodness, I'm so honored. All of the startups were so amazing. I'm so happy to have heard about all of you. So thank you so much for the judges to choose us. We hope that we can really do our part to decarbonize alongside the rest of these amazing females and their companies. Thank you.
And I'll give a quick shout out that Laureen's mom is also on the call, which is so great to see a mother-daughter.
That is incredibly awkward.
Sorry to oust you there, but she said so many wonderful things about you, and I completely agree. Big congratulations. And let's turn it over to Lisa Ann to close us off today. Thank you all for sticking with it.
Congratulations, Lauren. This is awesome. I'm so excited for you. Please keep in touch with us. Let us know how you're doing, your progress. We're very excited. And all the startups, please stay in communication with us and keep us updated on your progress, because we want to know how you're doing, and we're here to help you. Anything you need, we're here to support. Closing out, as you know, this pitch competition is a part of our WCS Talks program, which is typically hosted on a single day at Google, but this year it's in 4 parts. Our next part is coming up on March 13th, and we're going to have 6, maybe 7 amazing people giving their TED-style talks. You won't want to miss it. And remember, you can fill out that community survey for the 25% off the next ticket for either part 3 or part 4. Next slide, please. Speaking of surveys, you are a target market for us in that you are investors and entrepreneurs, and you're interested in startups and the startup ecosystem. So we would really love it if you could share some of your insights as we are building an entrepreneurship program for women in clean tech and sustainability. It's a short survey. Take a picture of this lovely QR code and give us your thoughts. We want to tailor a program that's actually going to be useful, and we can only know that it's useful if we hear from you. So thank you for taking the time to fill the survey. I know we have lots of surveys, and would appreciate if you could fill out at least one. And next slide, please. Again, thank you to all of our sponsors. We would not be here without them. They are true cornerstones. If you can have a bunch of things, be a single cornerstone of our organization. So thank you to all of our sponsors and our media partners for helping us promote this event. And with that, I will say so long. See you next time in the virtual world. Find us on LinkedIn, social media, network with each other, and we look forward to seeing you at another event. Thank you so much for attending today.